today would be good time to recap DrupalCon quickly, what happened over there, and then go through the status of other things that are happening and try to discuss how can I and how could other people best help those things to proceed. So just a quick recap of DrupalCon first. So at DrupalCon, there was a few discussions around the initiative. So one of the discussions that was productive was where I discussed with the release managers about the installation profile and how are we going to be managing it, given that it's the first experimental installation profile, and like what kind of restrictions and what kind of warnings and what kind of other things we will set for the installation profile. I did give a comment about the restrictions that the release managers proposed would be set for the installation profile. The next thing we will have to do is to get approval from the product managers for the restrictions that has been set, so that they agree with that, because of there were some things that they probably don't want to give that many warnings on the installer, but instead do some other things to avoid people from building their sites on top of that install profile. Hello, Matteo.
Hey.
Are you in Madrid as well?
No, actually, I'm at home.
Okay, good to see you anyway. So yeah, so basically the idea is that we don't give that many warnings on the installer, but instead we kind of set a time bomb on the site if it's installed using the experimental installation profile, and we start giving warnings for the on the site after a specified time period. And that warning you can set off anyway. So it's kind of a permanent warning that you will get. So basically the only way to get it off is to say display none or something like that for the error messages.
I really like it.
And we will provide them with like a link how to uninstall the installation profile, or how to switch it for minimal, something like that. So that was good. So now we know what it means, or at least we have some kind of an idea. Another thing that happened was a discussion around the default content importing, and there was multiple people who think it is a good idea to use migrate to import the content, which I think was the original plan as well from us. So I talked with the migrate people about the plan, how it could be done exactly, like in a little bit more specific manner. And they say that there should be a contributed projects that could provide most of the things that we need, that the migrate people has been working on. But then we also need some bits from the module that we were looking at, or something similar, so that the content will be imported automatically based on their file names and such. Yeah, that's pretty much what I think we discussed at DrupalCon. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there was something else as well. We also discussed quickly about the team, and we just agreed that there is nothing in particular that we would have to take into account about the team being experimental/internal, because we already have both Seven and Bartek marked as internal, and it's working well so far. Yeah. So another exciting thing that has happened lately is that what I read was that the API First initiative would be planning to use the content types and the schemas that we provide in the installation profile for something that they are building. And we have Matteo here today. So would you like to take a chance and tell a little bit about your plans as well?
Sure. All right. Let me recap. So right now, it's just in planning mode. People seem to agree on the idea of having some sort of out-of-the-box experience of exposing an API, and then we could have like a repository of front ends that can work on that API. So by consolidating on a content model and having some default content that is kind of consistent with the out-of-the-box experience that the UX team, you guys are working on, I think that we could kind of have a better picture. And for us, it will kind of help us to stop the bike shedding and in agreeing on what to build for this, because we could even ideally reuse the same kind of the whole spirit of it, like even the design maybe could be an inspiration of the front ends that get built, and yeah, reuse as much as possible. And hopefully on the process, we could just share the load of creating all these things and doing the research, etc. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much the gist of it. Everything is like a very on ideation phase, but yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fair, and that sounds very exciting for us as well, because of so we have plenty of designers and front-end developers in team, but we don't have as many backend developers in our team. So more backend resources for our team will be very helpful.
Funny that you mention, because we have like the opposite problem.
Yeah.
It sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just for as an information for you, Matteo, so we have the sandbox for the install profile, where we have the everything basically planned over there. So there is issues and things that people can work on in case they are interested in working on this. I'm just saying because of, I think I saw Daniel Wiener started working on a separated GitHub repository on that. So I'm not sure if he was aware that we already had some work done in different places.
I was not aware. I would love to get a link of that sandbox.
I will send you a link. Yeah. Just give me a sec. Basically, what is most valuable on that is the issues that we've created there, because it has the content model and other things documented over there. So that's the most valuable thing over there.
We will be relying heavily on Contrib, so this will probably be a distribution, not as much as an installation profile, but I think that most of the stuff that you have planned there will be reusable.
Yeah, especially, the things that has been planned, that's something that you can use, hopefully. So I just found a link. I will send it for you. Where can I find you?
Here in the chat.
I sent you on the Drupal Slack Contrib. So you have a link for that now.
Right. Thank you.
So besides that, there is one person, Adam Duran, who was doing a little bit of work on the installer, trying to implement the design that Kevin has created. Even though we most likely have to reiterate the design a little bit, but I think most of the work was something that we can find useful in future. He built kind of like an HTML mockup of the page, which we can use to finalize the design / to prototype some ideas. Did anyone of you by any chance see that?
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, that's just one of the things we have to keep in mind, that's something we will have to do something about, because we will have to give information on on that page about the fact that one of the install profiles is experimental, but we should also have enough space to give a little bit of information, like which installation profile they should be installing. But, I'm sending the issue link here on the notes, so you can see what's being done over there. So the design is on the comment tree, and Adam's work is on the latest comment. It pretty much looks how it's supposed to look like already. So, so at the moment, the design only has a very almost invisible text experimental, which doesn't really give good idea that what is the risk of installing the installation profile. So we probably will have to add something for this design still. But besides that, I think it looks fairly good.
Yeah, the design, I think it's really good. And exactly what you're saying is that adding some kind of warning or something like that. But if at the end they can keep the profile, I don't think that's that important anymore.
Yeah.
With the change you said, so.
So I think this would be one of the issues that would be very useful as well to be worked on, because this is definitely something we need to figure out. And having a, like, we don't have to have the implementation, but just having a design of how it would look like would be something that would be nice to have. So, and this doesn't have anything to do with the team, with the design that we are implementing for the installation profile. So this could be something that if you have time to work on some design issues, that Christina, you could take a look on this as well.
Okay, I don't know, but I think Kevin has it assigned. I don't know if I'm gonna ask him if he wants to keep working on it, or
yeah,
if I can take.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the DrupalCon. So I think then we can proceed to hear if Keith has something to tell.
Something to tell. Yeah. Yeah, I've been progressing, pushing on, kind of on two fronts, really. I say it's been a bit of a team effort, actually. There's been a lot going on, so we sort of we all pitched in over the last couple of weeks a bit here and there. So I've been evolving the designs. So I might as well share my screen. Yeah, so we had wireframes leading up to, well, in our last meeting, I think we did, and they were shared across the InVision.app. I haven't actually worked with those much more since then. We wanted to start laying in some actual design work against these wireframes. The other thing is just sort of by getting some really good example content into place, the sort of thing that we actually want to produce for the sample content, focusing on that so that we've got something in the actual designs that's making it feel more Millreel, something that obviously makes it easier to design against because you've got realistic length titles, all those sorts of things. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment in terms of laying out the designs. We'll step through what I've been doing here in Sketch. So you can see that we've got effectively a version of the wireframe that's starting to be filled in with example content and images. So we've been working from 2 image libraries so far. Both of those are the Creative Commons Zero license, Larry, that you mentioned is possibly something we could use. So I think for the sake of getting going quickly with images, even if we decide later down the line that we want to actually, still produce some of our own images, so that there is, whether that comes with any benefits or just the fact that we've got very clear ownership over that content, then at least this gets us going quickly, but we can still do that if we need to. And on the other front, I've been working with Holly, who works with us, and she's been starting to lay out so we did a bit of research into copyright around recipes. We found one useful article on The Guardian. There's a few articles here. I'll get this moved into a shared doc, Larry. It's just been a bit frantic over the last week, but Holly's just started to lay out some example article titles that perhaps we could get produced, and also thinking about what categories they might sit in. So we've got effectively articles, which are here, that they can sit in some taxonomy term categories, and then we've got recipes. So already started thinking about what sort of recipes we could get produced. We've started producing some recipes. So in terms of that side of things, as far as we can tell, it is the case that there's no copyright as such on recipes. That doesn't mean to say we want to be grabbing a recipe and just copy and pasting it. So what we're doing is we're effectively getting creative. We're looking across a range of recipes and having a think about how we might be able to produce our own versions of them, if you like. So already Holly's done, got one here on Victoria sponge cake, satay chicken.
Yeah, so I also, we did a little bit of research on that actually in DrupalCon as well, and I talked with Larry Garfield, who is part of the licensing working group.
Oh, okay.
And he said that so what we figured out was that the recipe, like the ingredients itself, don't contain any copyright, but the text, which is attached for like if there is like this is how you should do it, kind of like a description text, that can still hold a copyright because it's
absolutely
a little bit more creative than the ingredients itself.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly the right description. So what we've been doing is with these recipes here, we've literally just been, there's only so many ways you can say preheat the oven to 200 degrees C. So I'm pretty sure there's plenty of examples of that text out there. It's basically using our own way of wording effectively. But we're not copying methods, those sorts of things verbatim. We're even thinking about different approaches to how we might carry out someone else's method. That's what we're proposing to do. Obviously, if there's any issues with that, then we can back away from that and just take a completely different approach, and maybe we just make stuff up without referring to anything. But this is certainly going to be a very speedy way to produce things without hopefully breaching any copyright issues at all. Holly's also started to write an article like this one, tips for growing and storing herbs. So we've actually got content that I can start laying in. Also, Holly's done a load of work on taxonomies that we could use if we want to. But the main thing is this structure at the top is really handy for me to actually design around, because I can start laying out, or continue, I should say, laying out the designs. So this is the first iteration of design taken, based on the wireframe that we produced and shared previously. So just slowly scroll through here. And then we just this week decided to do an alternative layout. We decided to use one of the alternative logos that we'd come up with, one of the alternative fonts. We put a few more items in the navigation because we felt that it was feeling a bit lean after on a previous call we'd really cut things back. We also in this example went back to an earlier wireframe sketch where we had just straight into the carousel image. And this is just about building design options for us to discuss. We need to start narrowing down, really. I do think that this project is well suited to just taking like a Lego approach. Everything is effectively components that we can wrap up, almost like atomic design, isn't it? Where an article is brought through. But the important thing is we've got just introduced some features here that embellish things a bit, so it's not just so flat as just an image inserted in there. So we've got a slight pattern that can be put into the image here if we want to do it that way, or we could do it another way with within the theme itself if we want to. So we're still kind of thinking in terms of, are we producing a design that is, really focused in on this particular scenario? Or are we holding ourselves back a little bit, which I think is the general kind of impression that we've got from previous calls, just to mean that, yes, we can put lots of energy into perhaps what goes into these types of graphics. And that's definitely the next phase. But it's certainly not one that needs to hold us up in producing the scenario or the theme. And allow the theme to be much flatter. So, for example, in this alternative version of the design, we've got a completely different, we've got a mint background, a very pale mint background. So it's just playing with colors, playing with the approach of the design. We've also, in this version, gone much more consistent with the use of the blocks. So you can see here we're still playing around with this idea of slightly different sized blocks, but there is a consistency to it. So as you go through the rest of the page, so we still have the promotion of the magazine, so we're still able to, produce an actual mock-up of the magazine. Still kind of following the wireframe, but actually playing with the presentational style. So this is what I was referring to. We're just we've gone from articles through to recipes. We're still following this card-based layout, and also sticking more rigidly to image ratios. Here, I'm not sure it's working quite so well. I think we could go more square with the when the image is smaller, but trying to be as consistent as we can with image ratios, because that was something that was brought up, and it may make it much easier to produce the theme. And again, just slight embellishments. So these embellishments could be anything. We were playing around with a few different patterns. Just anything that makes the theme feel more on scenario, if you like. And then, so this is me just planning out things. I ran out of time just before our call. It's just starting to lay in images. So for every single one of these categories, we've broken these down into categories, and for the articles, we've broken these down into obviously the topics for the articles, and obviously the recipe types. For every single one of these, we've hopefully now found an image or two, or maybe even three, from both the Unsplash library and the other library, the name of which escapes me, that we were looking at in the last call, Lowry. So we got lots and lots of images ready to drop into here. So this page is suffering badly from needing to have all the images laid in. I was just running out of time just before I called to do that. And you can see, though, we're starting to lay in the titles of the articles. So this is an article listing page, obviously, it's pretty much as per the wireframe.
Yeah, I like this image and the text. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep. And as I say, it's really suffering from just being too samey at the moment. I think we also need to play around with how this works, because I think responsively it's not ideal having these the name and the the term side by side. That was done in the wireframe, but I think it's not quite right. So in the versions that we've been doing elsewhere, for example, the original version, they're split out. So you've actually got the sorry, they follow each other in order. So you've got the term that comes first.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a more simple approach to laying those out. And then we've started playing with the actual all-important article page itself. So we've done so far 2 versions of this. One is based on a very classic main column and sidebar. And we've brought through the idea of just containing the content. So there's still some degree of this background color idea coming through for the whole kind of covering the whole viewport, if you like. But the actual page is then inserted into that on white. And that fills the whole space. So I should say I've spent quite a bit of time just starting to think about style guide, fonts, font sizing, modular scale. Started working with that so that hopefully when we come to theming, we can have an easier time of it and keep the styles really nice and dry. So in Sketch, I'm actually working with each of these is getting styles that is applied the whole design. So obviously, if we want to play around with fonts and styling, we can just change those in one place. I've actually started to lay that out on a separate page here.
That's great.
So yeah, so exactly. So this is it's just thinking about things, the all important things, like what's the line height, what's the base font. So at the moment we're working on 15 pixels. We could go up a notch to 16 if we wanted to, and just line height 1.5. Very, very typical patterns. Got quite an extreme modular scale at the moment, just using the golden ratio, which gives us this really nice quick jump up in heading sizes. But of course we can add an extra scale alongside that if we wanted to get some of the gaps filled. And yeah, back to the article. So just really playing around with how the columns work. So we're sat on a good old-fashioned 12-column grid. No surprises there. And it's just a responsive grid basically, and just playing around with placement. So very early version of a block quote, not a lot of excitement there, but you get the idea. So this,
I think it's smart using this white space because it gives this appearance of, I don't know how to say it, design, that you're designing something anyway. I like it. It's really nice.
Great, superb. Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the things that comes into this is the how does it get refactored question. This feels very much like it's configured around a kind of creative layout for exactly what it is, a magazine article. But at the moment, I don't want to get too hung up on that, else everything would just look so generic. And I think that would be a shame. Especially since varying these types of templates is a breeze, and there's nothing stopping us doing that. On, for example, this could be a very specific layout for articles, and therefore we can, therefore we can do something that's a little bit more generic or on the grid, if you like, on the magazine page, for example, or an about page. Okay. So the footer, this is all you can see. It's also very basic. No patterns on this one yet. I'm not sure whether that's needed or whether it will just cause us issues. Yeah, I wonder if the footer is really missing the taxonomy terms now. But it's something that maybe that can come back later if the general consensus is that would be a good thing. And then I've done another layout where I haven't gone full width with the white, but I've played with the idea because this is offset. Just show you the grid quickly. So because this is offset, I thought, well, we could always have the image just butting up against the edge of white and blocking this up. So you can see what we're doing here, though, is we're actually bringing through the idea of these cards. So by allowing the background color to come through a lot more, the cards obviously make a much more defined and interesting design style. But it is very cardy and blocky, and maybe that's not a preferred approach. But I think what we're seeing by doing this is that we're obviously getting enough, kind of like I said earlier, ideas into the pot that are kind of like Lego, where we really can just assemble this into one final approach. Because I'm understanding we don't want to do something too stylized, that drives us down one way around this theme only. And frustratingly, I didn't get time to quite finish the recipe, so there's no recipe version in here, which is a real shame, because that's the one I'm really looking forward to getting to. And in the wireframe, just for the sake of the cool, that's the one where we've got some really nice elements to be playing around with in terms of the layout. But the good news is we have got content that we can drop into here, and to the best of our knowledge, it should be absolutely fine to use. So it really won't take me long to lay this out using the styles that we've already got. So that's where I'm up to. I plan to just keep rolling on. I'm able to get a fair bit done each day. And as I say, I've got Holly helping me out. Jodie's helping me out a bit with some of these layouts. And yeah, hopefully we should see things really coming together over the coming week. I guess the conversation for now is, what do we want to share? How do we want to share? I obviously need to wrap this up a bit more into some finalized layouts for each of these pages that are in the wireframes. But as you can see, we really are nearly there.
Yeah, I think it starts looking good. I think the progress is very good. It's very impressive. So good work on that for the whole team. What I think we should do next is that we have a couple of different ideas. Like, it seems like for me that the front page 1 and front page 2 are taking quite different approaches, and there is also the article pages where both of them take quite different design approaches for approaching the same problem space. And because of it is a lot of work to build those iterations for each of the designs. So I would appreciate if you could probably gather some feedback from the team and try to figure out one way to go with. So that will reduce the amount of work needed from you, because then we can just kind of go with one, and we don't have to try to iterate every design with the multiple different approaches. And especially the difference between front page 1 and front page 2. So for me, there is some things that I like more on the front page 1, and some of the things that I like more on the front page 2. So I think the feedback would be useful from everyone, like what bits they like on each and what bits they like from the other one. And then we can kind of come up with the one that is the final one. But there is, both of them look good in overall. So very good work on that. And but I think for us, probably, can you show the third one, the sketch? Because I was actually, even though it was a sketch, I think it looked pretty. No, it was not this one. It was, which one was it? The one with the hero area with some. It was the features, actually. It was the features. It was not front page. Yeah.
Yep.
This one. Yeah. So this one, I don't think we need to ask feedback for, because this one doesn't have anything particular, or it doesn't introduce any new patterns, I feel like. Do you agree, or do you?
I absolutely. I mean, it's really standard stuff.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're definitely holding ourselves back, and we can plow. As I said, we can plow our energy into making these hero promoted articles really, engaging. That's where we can put extra effort if we want to. I think you're right, Larry. I think we really need to have just the right guidance from everybody. In terms of what we want to build and kind of why, in terms of these individual elements.
So
because obviously we're trying to show off Drupal's capability here as well, and that's the key thing.
Yeah. So let's say if we can gather some feedback, and it's mostly just like, we want to use this bit from here. Please combine these two things and make some magic. Like, how many days do you need, or how many weeks do you need after that feedback to make it kind of one design to represent the feedback, or kind of just reiterate based on the feedback? How much time do you need for that?
Well, so straight after the feedback, you mean? Yeah. Well, that's fine. I mean,
how much time do you need, like, to make these reiterations?
Yeah, I guess if everybody's basically saying, yeah, we're liking these elements, bring it together in some way, that's no problem. I mean, that could be done within a week.
Yeah. So maybe we should give a deadline for like next Wednesday or something like that for feedback. So then we have a little bit less than a week time to gather feedback for you, and then you have 1 week time for the week after meeting to prepare your things. And then I would say after that, we create a proposal for the community of the designs after that call. So we have, in 2 weeks, we have a proposal for the community of what we are going to be building.
Sounds good. I mean, this needs more polish before this is obviously put up to review. There's a couple of mistakes in it still, but I really only need probably through till Saturday evening to sort that. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Unless you want to share it as it is.
I mean, this is not for the community. This is just for us, just for the team.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was planning that we send it for the community on the 17th, actually on the 18th of this month. So you have 2 weeks time to polish things up before we send it for everyone. And before that, we gather feedback from the team, and then you have 1 week after the feedback from the team, time to kind of try to create something out of that. And then after that, we just send it out.
Okay.
How many steps are you planning? I mean, first, the team. You mean the team itself, or the on the Slack where it's
on the Slack
100 with 100 people?
Yeah, I don't think there's that many people who are actually going to jump in to give feedback.
When you show designs, people speak.
Yeah. So
I think it's a little bit risky to. I mean, I'm pretty sure they will be super good, but maybe we should restrict that first feedback on a smaller place. I mean, I know you want to go fast, but this first feedback, maybe, I don't know, Keith, how are you comfortable with? But I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that I actually think there's something in what you're saying, Christina, because I think the thing is that we want to be sure that that what we've produced here design-wise matches definitely how we want to build this as a scenario for demonstrating how this content works in Drupal. So it could be that we, when we actually spend some real time, if we're all spending some time just really soaking up what's in these and sort of picking holes in them, it's that process that we could find means that, for example, we might say, this layout here is no good. It's not what we want to do. It looks great, but it's not what we want to do. In fact, what we want is something that's just far simpler. It might be something more like this, or vice versa. So I think that's what's concerning me is if it is like Lego, just trying to bring those parts together first would be a good process to go through. Because at the moment, really, it's just me and the team poring over it. And I think it would be good just to have your input as well.
Yeah, so is the consensus that we ask feedback from the smaller group? So we ask from the people who are actually on the initiative team first. So
I think, I don't know what Keith thinks, but I think it will be the first step, and then I will add the other people on the Slack.
yeah,
Maybe it's just, or it'll be really fast because we are not that many people. So we can give the feedback really super fast and just give kids some time to do the iterations on it.
yeah, but I think I at least need some time to think about it and to go really through all of the plans that we have and what is inside wireframes, what is inside the designs, and then construct the feedback. So I think I personally need time till next Wednesday or so, around that time, to give the feedback in the manner that I feel like is required.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think we are in a hurry or anything like that. It's more just that I feel like it's always like you can just build your things in the kind of darkness and not showing anything for everyone, and then you think it's a good idea, but then once you show it for everyone, they're like, no, that's not good. It's like, I just feel like it's useful to get that feedback as early as possible, so we at least know, are we going to the right direction?
So from the backend development perspective, someone that's used to look at only JSON files like forever, this looks beautiful. That's my feedback.
I love JSON files.
I have to say that this looks more beautiful than JSON files, no matter which editor are you using.
Yeah, I agree.
But the editor matters. We agree on that.
Yes, we definitely agree on that. Yeah. So does it sound good if it's just a couple of people? So it's just people on the initiative team give feedback for you till next. Have time to give feedback for you till next Wednesday, and then after that, you have some time to get to kind of construct something out of that. And then if it's not enough, then it's fine, and like you don't have to feel stress about that. Just like kind of some idea of how it could go. If it doesn't go like that, then it's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The main thing is I just want to make sure that what I'm producing is meeting the expectation of the conversations that we have had so far.
So I think your designs look really good. And the good thing is that there's a couple of different approaches. So there's definitely like, it's a good first step for starting the conversation. Like, what is from these bits, which approaches do you want to take, and so on. So I think it's a good framework for that discussion.
Yeah, and I think it's then you can start adding in the style stuff as well, because I was chatting with Jodie today, who I work with a lot on design. It's like she said, it would be really nice to get more of these flourishes in, if really make this feel a bit more energetic. But equally, we need to be guided by that MVP and actually what date we are working to. And what. I mean, you said there's no urgency, but what schedule is there? Any form of sort of schedule around core releases and the like?
So there's 8.4, but the fact is that so there won't be anything visible for 8.4 for us anyway, no matter what we do. Right. So 8.5 is the first release where we can get something visible for people. So for that reason, it's almost 1 year.
Oh, right.
So,
okay.
Like that's when we have something visible, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't have it in core before that. So we can have something in core, but we cannot have anything that is visible for people.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have plenty of time to kind of polish things, but I think the overall idea is to kind of get something in before 8.4, like getting at least some rough edges before that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think So Keith, can you send the materials? So I think what we need is the 2 front pages, the article page approaches. Those are the most useful things, I think. So those would be the ones that you probably should focus on.
Yeah, agreed. So can I, if I give those to you tomorrow, that just gives me enough time to go through all the images we downloaded and grab the best ones we can for each of these articles.
Yeah, tomorrow is perfect.
Perfect.
Then I can take a look at that next weekend, and
yeah,
that's fine. So,
superb.
Thank you very much, Keith. You and your whole team has done amazing work, and congratulations for the highlight, and congratulations Matteo as well for the highlight from
great.
Greece. It's a very famous group of people that we have on this call. Hall of Fame. Oh, we have Christina as well, who was also on the. So I'm the only one who was not on the keynote. Oh, actually, my teacher was there. Yeah, so we were all.
You were there.
Yeah. So we are the Hall of Fame.
I have an actually useful question. Are there any plans to make the content repository available in some Creative Commons way? Would that be a problem because we still haven't figured out the licensing properly?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is to have so everything has to be GPL2 compatible, obviously. And so we have already checked the license that we need to fulfill for the images. We have checked the license that we have to figure out for the content. So we've figured out which bits we can kind of get from somewhere else, which bits we have to write ourselves. So what we haven't still figured out is how are we. So we have an idea how it's going to be done, but we don't have an exact plan yet. How are we going to manage the fonts, the typography? But besides that, everything should be something that is licensed.
Right. So something else that I'm trying to figure out is if I was to start creating or adding this content in order to create the default content using whatever migrate tool we feel we should use, how could I get the text and images?
That's a good point.
Maybe I should just ping Keith.
So we have a Google Drive where we have all of the assets. So we can give you a link there, and you can probably find most of the things over there. So it's not very organized at the moment, but there is a lot of images and a lot of things over there. So if there's anything particular that you need, just tell us on the Drupal Tweak Slack. Are you over? I didn't see you over there.
I can join. I mean, my computer can take another Slack channel.
Oh, my computer couldn't. And I had like 25 Slack channels, so I resigned from 11 of them. Now I have only 9.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that when I have something specific, instead of trying to unblock myself from future problems that I still don't have, I will just ping you.
Because we have a lot of materials, but so we can give you a link for that. But in order to be able to give you something like specific that you need, it would be useful if you can just tell like what you need, and it's probably faster for us to organize for something for you.
Okay, cool. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So there is a channel called New Core Team Design where the discussion happens. So just join there, and we can discuss over there.
Yeah, and obviously just a note to say that obviously I do need to tidy that folder up because all the original sort of ideas were there. But obviously we do need to maintain whether content is copied, and obviously what the source is, before we go grabbing anything from there. Stating the obvious, I know, but at the moment there's a bit of a mix where we've copied stuff to get things going, versus like the example content that I was showing you today, where we've actually gone and written it.
We should probably create like a new file where we have then everything that goes there, we have insert where the original text is from.
I'll take care of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So Keith, we can provide the designs tomorrow. Then we have enough time to provide you some feedback till next Wednesday.
Yep.
And what I will be working on this week, I will start figuring out the default content thing as well. Like how should we import things and what could be done? What could be done?
Yep.
In order to get that rolling.
Yeah.
Okay. See you on Slack.
Sorry.
Is there something else that you want to bring up?
It's just whether we wanted to think ahead a little bit to Front End United. Are you going to be able to be there, Larry?
I am. I have a presentation there as well.
All right, cool. Okay. Because I think we were hoping to sprint there, and it's whether that needs to factor into our thinking at all now, or whether it's just something for next week to discuss.
We can probably. So if we have designs out in 2 weeks, it means that we might have some feedback at that point, but it means it's kind of a awkward timing, like that. There might not be that much that we can do on the design, but there's definitely something that we can sprint on. There's always something that can be done. Like starting to build infrastructure for building style guides and all of that is something we have to figure out. So unless we don't have anything else, that's something we can figure out, because we don't have any proper tool in Drupal or in the Drupal world for building something like this. I think I'm going to go sleep because it's 3:59.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
But
yes.
talk on a Slack.
Yeah, let's do so. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the designs because they look really, really great.
Yes, they do.
Fantastic. Looking forward to working with you all to get this made. Thank you.
Yeah. So have a good evening and good night.
And you. Well, good
And
night.
for you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.